On August 29th, 1967, around 10:30 a.m., two children in Cussac, France, would experience a close encounter of the third kind. Francois Delpeuch, age 11, and his sister, Anne-Marie, age 9, were out in the pasture tending to their family's cattle when they would see what appeared to be children. However, as they moved closer and got a better look, it was evident these humanoids were anything but. In today's episode, we will examine the 1967 Cussac Encounter. August 29th, 1967 was a clear and sunny day in the village of Cussac. By all accounts, up until this day, no strange activity or sightings had occurred in the area. However, that would soon change. As Francois was directing the cattle, he would turn around and spot something across the road in the distance. They were around 120 feet away and behind a low rock wall and some trees and bushes. At first, Francois believed they were other children, so he began looking more closely through the shrubs. Quickly, though, he concluded this was something strange. Anne-Marie climbed on the wall as well, and soon the two would look on in amazement at something truly extraordinary. As the two looked on, they viewed a bright orb around 6 feet in diameter. It appeared to have a silver undertone, although it was bright and tough to see. There were 3 legs underneath it, lifting it a few feet off the ground. There were 4 beings, all of different sizes, and all appearing shiny black. It's not clear if these were suits or just how the alien's skin looked. The children couldn't see any features on the beings, though. The children spotted the beings doing different things. One of them appeared to be bending over, collecting soil samples. Another being was holding a reflective type of device and waving it, possibly signaling to the others. The other 2 were walking around as if they were exploring the terrain. A confused Francois then yelled to the beings, "Have you come to play with us?" At this time, the beings, most likely unaware that they were being watched, realized that they now had been seen. Suddenly, one of the beings levitated off the ground and went head first into the top of the spear. It was followed in a similar fashion by the second and third beings. The craft then began to rise, even though one of the entities was not in it. The landing gear appeared to just disappear, although Anne-Marie would later say it may have just been too bright to see it. The craft had risen around 50 feet in the air and began moving away. The being holding the reflective device appeared to drop it. After picking it up, the entity started running after the orb. Once it got underneath, it dove head first into the bright orb, as the others had did. As the craft began to rise higher, it became brighter and stopped. Then suddenly it shot off quickly to the northwest. Right after this happened, a sulfur smell soon reached the children and the other animals. Both the cattle and the dog were very agitated and anxious for some time. The children would tell their father, who went and got the police. At the scene, the police would confirm in their police report the smell of sulfur and dried grass as well, where the children said the craft took off. After the sighting, Francois' eyes would hurt for some time. For days after he woke up, his eyes were watering. Anne-Marie didn't experience this side effect, though. After the event, the children were interviewed by UFO investigators Joel Mesnard and Claude Pavey. Both investigators noted they questioned Anne-Marie with continuous questions, trying to uncover inconsistencies. She appeared somewhat shy, but was consistent in her answers. After interviewing her, they questioned Francois. Both stories aligned. In March 2007, France released a number of UFO documents on their government website. The site crashed the first few hours it was released due to a high volume of web traffic, but this case was one of several that stood out for being so credible. UFO cases with children are often some of the most compelling, as it's difficult to imagine that children could stand up to the rigorous questioning. Some of the most credible UFO cases, such as the Zimbabwe aerial school incident, reflect this. In that case, dozens of students and a teacher had a close encounter of the third kind in the year 1994. Decades later, all the witnesses remain adamant about their experience to that day. While children are certainly capable of lying or exaggerating, it seems that an adult is much more likely to fool an investigator. By all accounts, it seems that this was the only sighting in the area. It seems that both Francois and Anne-Marie didn't experience any other negative side effects and were able to go on and live normal lives.